What's up, guys? Still Straight Fire Running here. It's a beautiful summer day in Crozet, Virginia. So going to be filming outside for today's video. And today I just like to give you guys a couple tips on how to run a faster 5K. Alright guys, so tip one is simple, and it's just to run more. And when you think about it, yeah, it's easy on a general level. How do you get better at doing something? And the answer is to do it more. There have been various studies showing you need 10,000 hours of doing something to become an expert at it. They say Kobe Bryant used to not leave the gym until he could make 400 shots. If you want to improve your free throw, what's the number one thing people say to do? They say to go out and shoot more free throws. So it's simple. How do you run faster? You run more. However, unfortunately, this is not always the case in running. And I'll get into that in a second here. So even though this is the most simple tip at the general level, when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, it's also the most complicated tip, because if you don't run enough, you're not going to get better. But if you run too much, you will also not get better, because you'll be too tired to get the most out of each session, or even worse, you can come away with an injury. And how are you going to run faster if you're too tired or you're injured and unable to even start the race? So in order to increase your mileage, there are a couple things you can do to help prevent these injuries and help prevent a burnout. This can include not increasing your mileage by more than 10% in a week. This allows your body to kind of respond to the mileage better and have a base before increasing. And another thing you can do, which goes off of this, is to incorporate cross training into your training routine. And this allows you to get more aerobic work in without having as much of a strain on your legs. And that allows you to build up aerobic work without getting injured, hopefully. All right, guys, so tip two is to focus on your nutrition. This is another complicated topic that is essential that you nail down properly. And there's a big stigma out there that basically the only thing you need to run fast is to be lighter. And that is not the case. Although sometimes it is beneficial for people to lose a little bit of weight in order to reach the best of their abilities. This can be detrimental in more cases than it can be beneficial, in my opinion. So focus on your nutrition. That means eating enough and eating things that aren't going to upset your stomach. With this being said, you need to work on nutrition both during your training and before races. So if you go into a race and it's a morning race, you don't want to eat anything, you won't be able to have enough energy to push to the best of your ability in the race, and there's no way that you'll be able to reach your full potential if you just don't have the energy to push as hard as you can. So it's essential that you develop a good routine of eating both on race day and during training, because the same thing goes for training. If you're not fueling your training properly, you won't be able to get the most out of that training, and each session you're just going to be depleting your body and putting yourself in a hole, leaving yourself unable to reach your full potential because you're just tired all the time. Or even worse, as I mentioned, with increasing mileage, you can develop an injury from not eating enough. All right, so right now we've gone over increasing your mileage and nailing down your nutrition. And so my last tip is to develop a race plan before your event. So whether you're racing on the track, the cross-country course, or a road, it's essential to come into your race with a plan, trying to know generally what you want to do at each stage in the race. So if you're racing on a cross-country course or a road, I'd recommend going out to the course before the race and either walking or driving the course, so you can kind of see where the hills are, where the turns are. It's very important that you know where you should be pushing at each point during the race, and just knowing the course before you step onto it is a great way to mentally prepare. Another thing about developing a plan is knowing that plans do not always go to plan. And you have to train yourself to know that if you're off pace at certain mile markers, or if say you're farther back in the race than you want to, you really need to train your body and your mind to not freak out in these instances, because you can always turn things around. So although it's important that you come into the race knowing about where you want to be at each point in the race, knowing about where in the pack you want to be at each point, it's essential that if things aren't going to plan once you step on the course, or if you're not feeling as good as you'd hoped to before, know that it's not the end of the world, and you can still have a great day, if not your best day, if you don't turn it around. All right, guys, so that was 3 tips on how to run a faster 5K. I hope that you guys are able to incorporate these tips into your upcoming cross-country or road racing seasons, whatever it may be, and just get the most out of what you've been doing. I know that y'all have been putting in the work and training, and now's when you guys really have to dial it in and get ready for the races. So just to reiterate, step 1 or tip 1, run more. Tip 2, focus on nutrition. And tip 3, develop a race plan. And if things aren't going according to plan, don't freak out, because you can always get back on schedule and come out with a great day. So thank you guys again for watching today's video. Still Straight Fire Running here, and I'll see you next time.
Like and subscribe.